everyone. You're watching WOLFpak Live. I'm your host, Wendy Fortino, and I am so excited because I'm here with two extremely special guests. First, I'm going to introduce the one and only Daniel Cormier, who just came back from Miami and then WrestleMania and then the US Open. He's all over the place and we cannot keep up with him, but we are so happy to have him here, even if it's for just a brief period. How are you doing today, DC?
I'm good, busy, but really good. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good. And of course, Javier Mendez, who is I would say, my non-biased opinion, the best MMA coach in the world. I'm sure DC would agree with me, right?
Yep.
Yes. How are you doing all the way there in Dubai? How are you doing, Javier?
I'm doing great in beautiful Dubai, my new home away from home.
Yes, I know. You've been there for a while, right?
Yeah. I'm probably going to be here the rest of the year. I think maybe the rest of the year. I'm not sure. Looking at
wow.
Well, I have some things that I want to talk about with both of you, but I want to start off with a fun little video, just a little splash, just maybe a trip down memory lane for DC. We're going to watch this and then we're going to get right into it.
Okay.
This is Daniel Cormier proving to the world that he's one of the best in the division at 205 pounds, one of the scariest of the contenders.
Bigger, younger, faster.
That's it.
Daniel Cormier, winner by submission. He defeats Dan Henderson.
He went out.
Total domination.
Look at this. I mean, he did that to Josh Barnett, so I don't know why we're surprised that he did it to Dan Henderson. But look at this. He gets him back up, and look at this trip. Watch this. Gets him up. Watch his left leg. Whoop. Boom. I mean, it's like, all due respect, it's like a man and a boy.
Hey, what's up, brother? Look this guy, brother. Look this guy. Wow, and you.
That's funny.
DC, stay humble, bro. Belt change your face, brother. Belt change you. You now very cocky guy. You cocky guy now, brother. Calm down, please.
All the superlatives.
The best job of all time. It really is the best job of all time. It really is the best. I mean, I've been so lucky to have those great moments in the octagon, and now calling the fights. It really is amazing, man. Yeah, that was fun to watch. I mean, those are some great performances, and then what I do today, as fun as can be, and obviously Habib and I's relationship is very special. Watching him and all the interactions we had all the way through our careers is those are memories that I'll never forget. You know, Those guys are really, really special people.
So you went from being a legendary fighter. You've won light heavyweight and heavyweight.
Yep.
Correct.
Yes.
Which is unprecedented. And then you went into being a commentator. You've probably been asked this a million times, but I personally just want to know, how do you make the transition? I personally am also an athlete making my transition to being a commentator and a host. So what was that like for you?
Well, you know, Javier will tell you, like, even during my career, I was doing this stuff. Like, remember how I used to go to LA for UFC Tonight. So on Wednesdays, when I wasn't in training camp, I was in Los Angeles hosting UFC Tonight or doing the stuff for the weigh-in shows. I think I started that way back in like 2012 was when I started to do broadcasting. But if I'm being completely honest with you, these guys saw it a long time before I actually started doing it, telling me stuff. You know, this is the story. When I first walked into the gym, Javier said, this dude may turn into a great fighter, but if nothing else, he'll be a great coach because he's well-spoken. He knows how to teach. He knows how to get a message across to people. And then when I started to do the TV, they recognized it right away. Javier, Bob Cook, they were like, yo, you got a future in this thing, man. And I've just been really lucky to get those opportunities. And if you know me, as Hav does, He'll tell you, when you give me a chance, you give me a foot in the door, I'm gonna do my best to kick that door in and make it my home.
Yes.
Yeah, he loves challenges. You cannot challenge DC. I've challenged him many of times, and he's accepted every single one of the challenges with this dignity and execution. He's like, what? What? You say what?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. He's like, oh,
That was his
no,
thing.
we'll
That dude
see.
would do that to
We'll
me
see.
all the time. You can't do this. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know
He
what?
never backs down from a challenge. Never.
You don't back off from a challenge, but there's very little that seems to choke you up. But there is one thing I did dig and find, okay? And this is something that connects you and Hav and Cain. I've had a chance to interview Cain and Hav right before everything happened. And so I'm going to show these two mini clips first. And then I want to talk to both of you guys about this and get your, get your perspectives. So
Okay.
How you basically you taught him everything you knew. You gravitated to him. You showed him everything without any problem, knowing that this guy could be a competitor down the line for you. You didn't even think nothing like that. It was right off the bat. He was a brother. He was AKA. You were going to give him everything you had. And that, I think that, in my opinion, I think that's one of the things that DC loved about you right from the get-go, is that you didn't hold anything back. And that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that that's DC, but that's what I felt, that you gave everything you had to him right away without any reason whatsoever, other than just, he's a teammate, I'm going to give him everything I got.
I did, man. And
thank you to my friend, my brother, and Cain Velasquez. There was never a time, guys, that Cain Velasquez didn't show up for me. I showed up in that gym as an undefeated U.S. Olympian in the heavyweight division. And the first thing Cain did was take me under his wing and guided me. He never saw me as competition. Every single moment that I had, Cain Velasquez was to my right and to my left. He never let me do it alone. And this is my message to Cain. I know you're going through it, my brother. I swear every time you look to your right, I'll be there. You look to your left, I'll be there.
Yeah, that kind of chokes me up right now. Yeah, it's the guy, he's he's a great person. He always was, man. For as much of a killer as he was inside the octagon, he was an even better person outside of it. And he treated me with a level of grace and authenticity that I never could have expected from the moment I went there. I always say this, and I mean it. I'm not who I am without Cain Velasquez. Not even a fraction of who I am, because he meant that much to me in my career. I love that guy, man. And I'll do whatever I can to always try to be there for him and try to return what he gave me. It started with Saturdays, right? And again, this is the foresight of a guy like Javier Mendez, a coach like Javier. Cain's an All-American wrestler, but the moment I walked into that gym, they put me with him on Saturdays, right? From the old AKA to the new gym. Jav would say, hey, you guys meet on Saturday morning, do another wrestling day. And then everything we did showed in the Brock Lesnar fight. Everybody was so surprised Cain took Brock down, but it was like what we had done for months and months to prepare. But
Yeah.
what we have and what we had at AKA was so special, because we had leaders who knew exactly what the athletes would need, and they put them in position to accomplish their goals. So yeah, there was surprise, but not on our behalf, because Hal would sit on the wall and watch me and Cain go through those drills over and over and over, and eventually it worked.
That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to look at the strengths of your fighters and the weaknesses, And when you have someone that was such a great, phenomenal wrestler like DC come in, who was an incredible coach, which is like he alluded to, that was the number one thing I said about him. I said to Dwayne Zinkin, who was the manager, I said, hey, Dwayne, I don't know about him as a fighter, like DC said, but this guy's a great coach. I want him here. I want him here. I don't care about anything else. Yeah. But then it wasn't until I trained DC the first time, and then he used what I trained him in sparring, like he's been doing it his whole life. I went, then I said, okay, this guy's going to be a world champion. But it wasn't until I seen great coach right off the bat, but I seen a world champion after I trained him the first time. Then I said, okay, this guy, he's special.
Yeah. So we talk, I mean, with when it comes to Cain, there's a special bond. But another thing that I think is actually kind of more like on the comical side of things is both of you two have linked with this like crazy wrestling world. Okay. It looks like you're performing legally crazy wrestling moves before you even got into WrestleMania. So tell me about that. What is your tie to that? And how are you linked with that now?
Just a kid that loved professional wrestling. I just loved that since I was a kid. And we would do it in the gym. We do crazy stuff in the gym. There's a video online where Khabib and me and Cain were beating Khabib with the mask. Cain had a luchador mask. And I'm like doing the moves to Khabib inside the gym the last time we were all together at AK. You know, honestly, when I walked into that gym back in 2009 at the end, and it was on Hillsdale, and it was Cain and Koscheck and Swick and Fitch, Kingsbury and all, Bobby Southworth, I was like, man, this is a place that I want to train. And then it just got better and better and better. And then when we moved to Realm, we moved to the big AK now, King Mo came. And then King Mo knew the Khabib in them, right? The Muslim and everything. Then Khabib came, and then all the rest of the Russians came. And it was just this group of talent that all combined made for what was. Honestly, there's no gym that ever accomplished what we did. And I don't know that anyone ever will, because it was homegrown guys, right? I swear to God. And Khabib Nurmagomedov was 15-0 when he came to AKA, maybe. And there was a video of him fighting inside the octagon against Gleison Tebow, maybe. And his striking looked crazy. We laugh about it all the time. By the end of his career, he stood with Justin Gaethje. He stood with Dustin Poirier. He could stand with the best strikers in the world because he was so committed, and he had such a great staff of coaches how to prepare him for those big moments. And it showed. Man, we had a UFC champion from 2014. No, 2012, when Cain won his belt back, all the way to 2020. There was never a day that there was not a UFC champion in AKA. And then obviously there was a couple years when Khabib retired until Islam got the belt now. But there was always a champion. And that's all credit to the coaches. They were so good. And we had such a group of guys that we just listened to them. And we wanted to be better. And that's why it was so good. And that's why the guys are doing so well now. They listen to coach. You listen to the coach, especially when you have a guy that has seen what Javier's seen, that's been to the levels that he's been. You know, when Javier coached John Fitch to a matchup against George St. Pierre and he got beaten the way that he did, when Josh Koscheck fought George St. Pierre and got beaten the way that he did, it would have been easy for coach to go, man, we may never get a champ. But they never lost faith. And then we all came, and all those experiences from the losses helped us to ultimately all become champion. They just learned. They learned. When I lost to John Jones the first time, and I went to the corner and I talked to coach and Bob and him, they looked nervous. Like they had never seen me losing inside a fight. They looked nervous. And I was like, hey, did I win that round? And they're like, I don't know. It was like so confusing.
Yeah.
But then I remember going back to Anthony Johnson, and he knocked me down, but then I beat him good in the first round. And I went to the corner and I said, did I win that round? And Hav goes, let's give it to him. Right? And they go, let's just give it to him because he knocked you down, but we're going to get the next round. they had learned, and that never left me. Fifth round against Alexander Gustafsson, close fight. I said, did I get it? They said, oh yeah, you won that shit. Because they just knew now, right? Because they had seen me and they just learned every time. And that's what made our group so special. I love these coaches, man. They mean the world to me.
You know what's hard about that?
What?
I think is everything you just said and watching your history. I think for the fans, the hardest thing is knowing that there is a expiration date to all of that.
Yeah.
You know, that's the
we all
hard
have our
part.
time. We all have our time, right? We all have our time, and we had this. I can't even tell you the stories of those sparring sessions. Legendary grappling sessions, wrestling sessions, legendary. I mean, you might have one day we're in the red room. Javier would go from he'd go to practice, match up the spars, right? Then he'd walk over to the main sparring cage and stay there. And it would be an hour and 15 minutes because we'd all have championship fights and everybody needed 5 rounds. But dude, there might be a day where the sparring was Khabib and Islam, then me and Cain, then Luke Rockhold versus Muhammad Lawal. Like there were days where Josh Koscheck might be sparring John Fitch or Mike Swick. Josh Thompson was mixing in with Khabib. There were days where the sparring was so crazy, you could build cards with just our sparring sessions back in the day. It was that special. And Hob would sit his ass there for an hour and 15 minutes, coaches all, and then we go back and grapple right after.
Yeah.
It was just a level of commitment, man. And that's what I miss.
Yeah.
That's what I miss. I don't miss the fighting as much. What I miss is walking into that gym every day, twice a day, going in and walking into Hobbs' office and going, "You ready?" Right? Like, because it's time to spar. Or missing just sitting in his office and getting a call from the UFC. Go get a cortisone shot. We're going to offer you X amount of dollars to fight Derek Lewis. Remember? It's like, I was sitting in Hobbs' office. I'm like, yo, let's go get this shot. They're going to pay me to headline New York. That's what I miss. I miss that. I miss Hob and I going to Flames and eating lunch. You know,
Flames!
when we were on
I
Hillsdale.
love Flames.
Those are the things I miss. I don't miss the fighting as much. I'm close enough to it with the commentary. I miss the brotherhood, and the camaraderie that we built in that gym.
Yeah.
Well, that's what makes the coaching worthwhile, is what we build with the fighters, and it's the lifelong longevity, of the bond that we built, and we stayed. That's key. That is key to staying with the loyal. Loyalty is very big. Loyalty is very big with DC. DC is very straightforward on what he wants and what he won't do. Him and I don't agree on everything we do, but one thing we do agree on is honesty. DC will tell me exactly how he's going to be and what he's going to do, and it had nothing to do with anything to do with me per se. It's just who he was as a man and what he was going to do as a man, and to me, it was always super respectful because there was nothing underlined anywhere. It was all straight in front of your face, and you have nothing but respect when you have that from your fighter. You don't have to agree on anything, but you have to agree on one thing, and that's honesty, and that's what DC has always been.
Yeah, I gotta go soon, but I will say this. And I was talking to Luke Rockhold the other day. I still live in Gilroy. And I love my life. I've built a great life here, a big life. San Jose and the Bay Area is a little worse because Cain's gone, at least for now. Khabib and them are gone. Hobbs gone. Bob's gone. Luke's gone. Josh is gone. San Jose is a little bit worse now because all those guys are gone for right now. Hopefully at some point we all can still see each other when we're around, and we do. But yes, for as big of a life as I've built here, and for as comfortable a life as I've built here, it's a little worse than being able to live on Bob's floor mattress, and in between practices, instead of driving back to Gilroy, staying up in those 2 bunk beds on Hillsdale and cooking potatoes and eggs on a fryer pot. Or when I'm not doing that, sitting in Hobbs' office and just shooting the shit with him for a while. Or Herschel Walker coming in. He had that nice hotel and having money, so we were all able to go and eat with that dude. Like San Jose's a little worse because all those things are only in the past now, and they aren't. Those days don't happen anymore. Where I get to just sit there with those guys. That's what I miss.
I know.
So for all the big houses, and boy, Javier's got a big house in America. I don't know how in the world he's staying in Dubai. His house in America. You guys wouldn't believe the house this man has here in America, right? For the big houses, all the money, the fame, and everything. What I miss the most is my guys. I love them all so much.
God. You're gonna make me cry.
No, it's just the truth. I miss those guys. So
I know you have to go. I know you have to go, but hang on. Okay. I just need one more question. If you could just hang on for like 2 minutes. Okay. I just want to know your advice to fighters that have come in and that are kind of in that place where they don't really know when it's the time to maybe exit and what the next chapter looks like. What would your advice be to them?
Listen to not only your body, because your body's going to tell you first, right? Your mind will actually tell you. You know when it's time. Not everybody gets what Khabib got. Khabib literally got a fairy tale. Him and George St. Pierre got to leave on top. Not everybody gets that. But listen to what's available, the signs, everything that's pinging at your mind. When you don't love to train no more, you're probably done. When you don't love the competition or look forward to it anymore, you're probably done. Honestly, I didn't need to fight that last fight against Stipe. We did a training camp in my garage. The last two. I didn't need to. I didn't want to. But I did. I just wanted to fight, and I wasn't ready to let go. There was way too much money at the time. The money got way too good. But we did a training camp in my garage because they shut down AKA. I should have recognized it then and listened to everything. But you know what? For as much as I said, I'm doing this, these guys, because they love me and they support me so much, they fucking grinded with me and got me as prepared as I could. I fought Stipe Miocic 3 weeks after COVID and went 25 minutes. So it's like we were prepared. But yes, listen to your mind. And for all young fighters, start to look down the line a little bit. Nothing's wrong with looking at what's next when the career is over. I was able to do that, and I'm lucky I did, because look at my life today. And I thank my coaches and everything for it. And before I go, I thank Javier. Coach, I love you. I always will love you, and I will always appreciate how you changed my life. You and your family and the gym, and you guys, from allowing me to start my wrestling academy there. I have my own gym now, to allowing me to build my career and my future for my family in that gym. I appreciate you. I love you, and I will always do whatever I can for you. So you are the man, and there's not many people in the world that I owe more than I owe you, Coach. So thank you. I love you, and I will see you soon, hopefully, because I miss you, and I can't wait to give you a big hug. All right, Coach.
Don't give me no kiss. No kiss.
I will kiss you on the lips too.
No kiss.
I'm gonna kiss your ass right on the mouth.
No kiss.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So appreciate you being here, DC.
Thank you.
Thanks, DC.
Right. Aw, that's gonna make me cry.
Kiss me right in the lips.
I know. You guys do your thing. Whatever you gotta do.
No. We don't do our thing. No.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Well, there are some things that I want to talk to you about. So this is actually perfect, because now I get a one-on-one with you. All right. So let's talk. I want to know, when I was looking into some of the upcoming things happening, we have the Max Holloway defending the BMF belt against Dustin Poirier. Okay. I wanted to know what in the heck a BMF belt was.
Oh, that's the baddest mother effort.
Yes. Okay. And then I was like, well, what does Javier think of this? So I found out what you think about it, and then I want to get your reaction to this.
Yes.
I didn't.
Remember we knocked out Justin Gaethje the last second.
The only reason why I didn't pay attention, because BMF title to me is...
It's a gimmick. It's a gimmick,
whatever. But it's not the best of the best.
But
I don't know.
But come on, like these.
It's just a fight. It's a fight. It's a great fight.
it's a great fight, and whoever is competing for the BMF title shows that.
But how many fighters want to win that title?
So I found out what you think about the BMF belt.
Yeah. It's a gimmick. It's the intermediate title that they give, just the interim title. You know, it's just the #1 contender spot. It's not a championship fight because you didn't win the UFC title when you win the interim title. You're the #1 contender. That's all that means to me. It's because you didn't beat the champion. You beat a #2 or another top guy to win that interim title. You didn't beat the champion, the actual champion. So the BMF title is to me, it's who's the baddest mother out there. And what they mean is not by the champion being the best, by being the toughest, like a Nate Diaz type, you know, people like that, George Masvidal, you know, those guys, you know, Justin Gaethje, you know, those guys, you know, those are BMFs, you know, but that doesn't equate to being the world champion. It just equates to being a badass, and you go and you fight, you let everything out, and that's what those guys do. They let it out. Justin Gaethje, Nate Diaz, Max Holloway, you know, even you know, Dustin. They let it out. They go on. It's all out there. So it's rightfully so. They're BMF guys for sure. But again, these guys, with the exception of Max Holloway, have never been a world champion. But Max Holloway definitely has.
Yeah. It was funny. I went to look and see when in the heck was this first established, this BMF title that doesn't seem to be a real title, but it's pretty cool because it sounds like there's no submission. I mean, it sounds like you're trying to basically take someone out, but it was like UFC 220 something. 2 fighters had just taken it upon themselves to decide that there was going to be this belt called the BMF belt that the baddest fighter would get. So I just want to know, it was kind of interesting to kind of find out what that was, where it came from, and why, you know, people talk about it so seriously now.
Yeah, I mean, it became a real thing, you know, and honestly speaking, you know, when you have a BMF title, it is 2 badasses. It's definitely 2 badasses, and there's definitely you know, fights to want to watch. Just for me, again, it's not a title type scenario for me as a coach. It's entertaining, and it's fights you want to win. And you know they're going to be exciting because these 2 guys are going to throw down, you know, and whether it be on the ground or on the stand-up. Mostly it's been stand-up because most of the guys that win the fight the BMF have never really went to the ground. That's why you alluded to that fact. But they actually could go to the ground and still be considered a BMF, you know, contender, you know, because those guys can do it all.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you have Cain and you have DC, who both are a little bit crazy. They both happen to go to the wrestling world. When you have a fighter come into your training facility, do you feel like you're able to tell right out of the gate if somebody's going to be a potential WrestleMania type person? Like, is that something that you could pick up about somebody, you know, the BMFers, the WrestleMania guys? Like, is there a certain vibe that you get from a fighter when they come into your training facility?
There is, it is, and it comes from love. You know, they love to do it. Like DC, he mentioned he loved it when he was a kid growing up, so he gravitated towards it. So when he got the opportunity, and he was doing it before he got involved. You know, he was doing play wrestling, you know, in the gym. You know, you know, he loved the wrestling. He absolutely adored it. And Cain loves lucha libre, so play that up. So yeah, both those guys. DC more so. DC was more of a fan all the way around than Cain, but they both loved it. But DC, I would say, loved the wrestling more.
Now that he's not here, do you see him going into that world again as a wrestler? Because he's not that old. I mean, he's still young-ish. I mean, what do you think?
He could definitely get involved and do WWE easily. He's a great actor.
So.
He's great persona, you know, and people would love him. I mean, he's become extremely lovable character. You see how he even says he loved me, he loved me. He wears his his heart on his sleeve. He doesn't hold back, and I love him too. It's not one of those things where I don't want to say that in front of people that I love Coach or Coach loves me, but we're come from a different type of environment where we train that if we love each other, we'll say we love each other. It's we're not doesn't mean anything by it other than our feelings are great for that individual, and it's okay. I don't tell all my fighters I love them because I don't. I don't know. Only the ones I love, I will tell them I love them.
Do you have to be honest? You can't.
Well, you can't throw in the love. I can't throw the love word out. I cannot. If I don't love you, I'm not going to tell you I love you. I won't not. Even though you say, aren't you going to say you love me? I go, well, I don't love you. So I got to say, maybe that's my little Asperger part of me that my wife keeps talking about. I don't know, but
no,
I can't tell somebody I love them if I actually don't love them.
No, you're just being honest. That's a good quality to have, actually.
Well, yeah, that's what helped me in coaching is to be honest with you, being honest, And so because if I'm honest, then I can come back and they do the things I'm honest about, and I can say, see, there you are right there. That's where you are. Like with DC, when I mentioned about, to Dwayne Zinkin, I said, I don't know about this guy as a fighter, but as a wrestling coach, this guy's incredible. I want him here, so I didn't know about him as a fighter, but as a wrestling coach, man, he took like nothing. Boom, he started, like he said, everything he said was spot on what I thought about him as a wrestling coach. And then later, of course, I thought he was going to be a great fighter and a champion, but I didn't think that until I actually trained him.
Oh, I lost you. Can you hear me? Javier. Well, while you're getting yourself regrouped here, while Javier's getting regrouped, there we are. Okay. Okay. So move. I want to make sure you're here. Javier, can you hear me? Blink.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't know if you can.
I can hear you.
I don't know.
Can you hear me? Okay. Technical difficulties. Can you hear me now?
Well, maybe if I leave.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, while he's regrouping, I'm just going to talk a little bit about really fast. While DC was here, we were talking about, fighters knowing when it's time to have their final moment. For me personally, as a competitor, it's like I've been competing in bodybuilding now for 15 years, right? And I am not sure if I'm closer to the end than I am to the beginning. So it's interesting for me to talk to some of these athletes in other sports who have made their transition into other things. Like for me, obviously it's media, and it's obviously, hosting, and it's other things that I love to do. But when is that time? And when Javier comes back, this is what I want to talk to him about. I want to talk to him about in his time that he has been coaching, in the time that he's been working with these incredible fighters. How does he know when it's time for an athlete to retire? I just went on a little bit of a rant about that. So can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
I had to log in and log off. So, well, in regards to what you're talking about, I'm assuming you're speaking about the retirement thing.
Yes.
DC originally had said that he was going to retire by the age of, I think, 40. I believe it was 40 or 42. I don't remember exactly which one. And he accomplished that when he beat Stipe. And I said, okay, DC, now you're going to retire. He goes, he didn't really say no or yes. He was like, nah. Then the UFC wanted the rematch, and the problem was after DC fought Stipe, he had back surgery, and the back surgery set him back. And he was, honestly speaking, he was never the same. Never the same. We didn't have the same DC after the surgery, and but Bob Cook and I felt that he still was good enough to win. To defend his title, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Didn't go out his way, you know. And the second one, that was during the COVID time. That one was worse. You know, we were really concerned about that one, but we thought maybe we could still do it. But we were going into that fight very not super confident whatsoever. We were hoping that the fighter in him would come out, but you know, that's that time, you know. And I think he knew before that the time was there. It's just that, you know, the UFC has a very good way of throwing a lot more money at you, where, you know, DC loves money. So, you know, I think for him it was the right choice because it allowed him to support his family in a bigger way. So I don't think he's regretting anything he's done, you know. But, you know, if you can get away from the sport, you know, clean it. You know, Khabib's way would be a good way, but the absolute best way, in my opinion, because he was older, was GSP. GSP, he left at the peak, and then he came back one time to fight Michael Bisping because that was the perfect fight for him to gain a new status and get a new title, and then he pulled out again. But that was perfect for him. He did it perfection.
Yeah.
Khabib, no. Khabib did it great, but didn't perfection. GSP did perfection because Khabib had another 3-4 good years in him, and he left. But that was all due to the love of his father, you know, his mother. You know, it was all, you know, missing his father not being with him. And yeah, sure, I was with him, but I wasn't the main person in his life that grew up with him. His father was, you know. So,
yeah.
And then his mother not feeling comfortable with him not fighting without the father present. I mean, both of those are heartfelt, you know. And, you know, I didn't involve myself in that picture whatsoever because that's for family. It ain't for me. You know, if he wanted to fight, I'd be there. If he wanted to fight now, I would be there, but I would question it. Why do you want to fight? You know, you yourself said 35 is an age you want to retire at, but you're already past that. I'm saying if he wanted to come back. So for those people that are wondering, will he ever come back? I had always said back then, never. And that's for him and his mother to discuss, not for me. So again, if he ever wanted to come back, it would be no way. It's not happen. I think he's 36, going to be 37. No way.
Yeah. Well, it's not. This is something that I want to know from you, but I don't think it's not always the fighter's decision to make. I mean, the UFC makes these decisions for the fighters, right? I mean, there are fighters that are on a losing streak and then they get cut, but there are some fighters that are on an even greater losing streak and the UFC doesn't cut them. So what goes into the decision, whether it's the athlete or the UFC that decides, like, how does that work?
It's a very different variables. Number one, it could be that you're a company guy. You've been there for the company, and the company is there for you. So they'll do things for you that they won't do for a non-company. So that's one. Two, popularity. If it's a money business, it's money first, you know. So famous fighter that still draws a lot of attention, like you know, Tony Ferguson. You know, he was on a 7-fight losing streak, and they still kept him around because why? Because people wanted to see Tony fight all the time. So they kept putting him on because they, you know, the fans wanted to see him. So that's another
business.
One. Yeah, and the other one would be, you know, if a fighter is winning, obviously they're not going to cut. It's always the ones that are losing, you know. But sometimes Dana will go on a situation where someone's winning and he knows that they should be done. He kind of tells them maybe it's time to hang up. You know, they're not ruthless like that. They do have a heart, but it's a business, you know. So if you want to fight and you can still fight and you're not mentally hurting yourself, then obviously if something they're not aware of, obviously there's always things like that. But for the most part, you know, they're not trying to ruin your career. They're just trying to make a good business, and they do. They're the best business in the world, you know. And I don't see anybody catching them anytime soon. And they're getting stronger and stronger, you know. That's all. But as far as the retirement type scenario, that's a tough one. I used to try to get fighters to retire, and I've never been successful with not one fighter was I successful with. So now I just leave them alone. I don't even bother with it. You want to fight, go ahead. But if I don't want to be in your corner, then I won't, and I won't train you because I don't want to see you get hurt, or I don't want to be part of that scenario. So I have done that. but as far as getting them to retire from now, it's too much effort on my part, and they want to fight though.
I was listening to what DC was saying, and it's interesting because I feel like this is like something that actually is very close to me, because I think as an athlete, when you've been competing at a really high level for a long time, it's a goal to, when you do leave, that you're ending on a good note, or you're leaving on the best note that you possibly could. The reality is that that's a rare scenario. And I think that's what's hard for athletes to, to understand. But there's also a lot to look back at, and a lot of history to reflect on and be proud of. I think that's the hardest thing for an athlete,
I think you're 100% more correct than any of the other answers I have, because I believe that is what it is. It's that, exactly that. It's all transcends to all athletes. What you're saying, all athletes.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about some of the up and coming athletes right now. We have some of the new athletes coming into the scene. Who stands out to you right now?
Out of who? Out of my guys, or just people in general?
Well, let's start with your guys. Who do you have?
The one that I have, well, there's quite a few, but there's one in particular that's going to make some noise is Amaru, and he's with Team Habib. He's the UAE Warriors lightweight world champion, and this kid's unbelievable. He's best friends with Usman, the Bellator world champion. They're training partners, and Amaru is something special. He is something special. There's quite a few other ones that are with Team Habib, but Amaru is the next one that stands out. Outside of that, I've seen, unfortunately for me, because I'm in Dubai now most of the time, and the UFCs are at a different time, so I don't get to watch them. So, because I don't want to wake up at 6 in the morning to watch the UFC. So I'm in bed. I'm not diet hard fan like that. I'm gonna lose my sleep. No. And then rewatching the replays, I get to do that, but I don't get to watch it live. I rather watch it live than replays. So, but from what I've seen, I really like the fighting nerds. Those guys are pretty cool. They got a nickname, Fighting Nerds, but they're really good. They're really good.
The name throws you off.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. But those guys are impressive, the Fighting Nerds.
Yeah.
And outside of that, there's another guy I haven't seen in a while. They said his last performance wasn't so great, but regardless, he beat a real tough guy. I didn't see the fight, but they said Bo Nichols is who I think is going to be great. And I still stand by what I say. I think Bo Nichols is going to show, that he is an heir, or he will be fighting for that title. And I envision him and Hamzat at some point going at it, but preferably, I said, when one's the champion, the other one's fighting for the title. That's I'd like to see that one. Only when it comes, if they both reach that point. For me, that would be exciting, because I kind of picked those two to fight at one point, but only in the title fight.
I know you don't have a say-so in the title fights, right?
No.
You don't even, and you don't even want to. Yeah.
They're not my guys either, so I have no idea, how training is. I just know I think they're the two. Hamzat for damn sure, but Bo Nichols is the guy that I think is going to show everybody that he's there.
Everybody wants to predict on who is going to be in the title fights, but you have to be careful, because you don't want the UFC to come at you.
No.
and get mad at you for announcing something that may not happen. But switching gears from the UFC actually really fast. This is actually something that we had talked about before, but the Global Fight League, the GFL that you were going to be a part of. Tell me a little bit about that. I think people want an update on that, because you were a really big part of that lead up to.
Well, I was the head coach for the Dubai Falcons, one of the 6 teams, and Darren Owen, I met him in Las Vegas. A super nice guy, and he's working really hard to get the concept across. I think, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't know if this will come to be, live. In other words, I'm not so sure it will, because the publicity, the negativity he's gotten right from the get-go, all these people saying, oh, he's paying too much money, or he's recycling the dinosaur group, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, it comes down to money and sponsors and whatnot. And I don't believe that was been able to. His vision is great. Him as a person is great. But I think the circumstances, the people that he associated himself with in raising the money, I think that he's still working on that. And I think this could be a hardship there. I think that I don't, especially with all the activity I've seen and fighters backlashing because they were expecting a payday and the payday didn't come. And, that's what happens when somebody is expecting to pay their mortgage on your show and, or pay their, buy their car or whatever they're looking for. And all of a sudden that show doesn't go through. So they're not thinking clearly. So they're attacking what they didn't get. Like my damn job, they fired me, I was going to buy that car, or man, they fired me. I was going to, I was going to propose, or anything of that nature. So you blame something that was really not as much under control as you'd like to think,
Yeah.
But again, that's what happens. So with all that negativity, I'm not sure where they are at right now. I don't talk to them. They haven't called me. They didn't even call me with anything. I never heard, we're not throwing a show. I didn't hear one word. Other than what I read online. So based upon that, I'm assuming it can't be good. If I'm not being told anything, I haven't been told anything. Not one word. That word was called on, we'll fold, we're not doing the show, nothing. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so I don't really know. And I just put it behind me. It's like, hey, if they pop up, fantastic. If they don't, I mean, I feel bad because I feel bad for all the fighters that were training that get involved, and I feel bad for him because he's a great guy, and I actually wish he would make it, and maybe he will. I don't know. I just know that there's a lot of negativity out there, and there was negativity to begin with, about this thing ever getting off the ground, so it proved everybody's point. Everybody was thinking, it's never going to get off the ground. I don't see it. I haven't heard one.
I hate that.
Yeah. And so it was kind of one of those things. He was already battling Goliath, and he didn't even have, he had a slingshot, but he had no rock in there. He just had a slingshot. That's what it felt like. I felt, so there we are. So maybe he'll get a rock. I don't know. I have no idea. We haven't discussed it. He hasn't called me and nothing. So I don't know anything.
Well, first of all, anytime you're doing something big, you're going to have a slew of people that are rooting against you and cannot wait to see you fall and fail. And when it happens, and it's like, I knew that was going to happen. But then the second part of it is like the human psychology aspect of it and the social experiment that I think every single project like that goes through, which is you get people excited and hyped up and there's all this hype. And then if the hype goes down, it's really difficult to get it back up to the level that it was at, even if you do it well. So I would assume if it does happen, which it totally could, they're going to need it for the social experiment hype to kind of wane down a little bit so that they can rile it back up and get everybody re-excited about it. Maybe even a new audience. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bummer because I was actually excited about that.
You're 100% correct. I mean, everything you said is spot on. They're in a very tough road to get back because the confidence in the fighters, the confidence in the fans, he's going to have to throw the first show, and the first show is not going to be a dinger either. It's going to be one of those ding, but who knows? Maybe there's a spark there. I don't know. So you're correct. I mean, that's why I'm leaving that as if it happens, great. If it doesn't, it's like
I think it could.
A tough road. It could.
Well, I think
what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could because I think it's such an exciting concept. I think there are a lot of MMA fans and it's such an exciting sport, and it's a kind of a new age way of conceptualizing something that people are already such a huge fan of. I was personally excited about it, so I think it totally could. It just needs to be given the right runway, and the hype needs to come back. But I think it's such a great concept personally. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you're right. It's a great concept, team versus team. But again, we yet to see. If the first show goes off, let's.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it does for his sake. For me, if they move on without me as a coach. I have no problem with it. I mean, I'm not personally training the guys. I was just like a team captain, more or less, not team captain, the head coach.
Yeah.
But I wasn't training any of the fighters per se.
They're just waiting for Cain to come back.
Cain was the team manager.
I know. That's why they're waiting for him to come back, and then they're gonna redo it. That's the goal.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully, the thing they did with Cain was just wrong. I mean, he shouldn't be spending any more time in prison. And the thing of it is, it's what happened with him was sad. It's like he basically reacted in a way that was impulsive, and they did a brain scan and an EEG, which is the brain scan to see where you rank and certain things, and they said he had zero control and impulsiveness. So in other words, his reaction was he didn't think about it. It's like road rage. He had road rage. He couldn't think. He was just boom. And he was going for therapy while he was in home arrest. He was doing therapy for that particular issue. And what they should have done, instead of putting him away for another year, is kept him on that worst case, kept him on home arrest and having to keep going to therapy. And the number one reason why I say this is because he could have been there for his son, because his son is going to court in June against the alleged, child molester that he did this against. So, now the child is seeing his father go away, and now he has to wonder, well, why is my dad not with me? Yeah, I see my father's in the court with me, but why is he not at home with me? Why can't my dad be with me? As a father, as a parent, every father and mother that's out there, they feel for that, and and we obviously feel zero for these predators that attack our children, and we as parents will do whatever we can. Like I've alluded to the fact that what I would do to someone that did that to my child, I'd say that, I said it flat out, I'd kill him. I wouldn't do what Cain did. I wouldn't lose my head. I'd keep my head composed. I would do it to a point where they would know I'm around, and I would do it. If someone allegedly did that to my son, sorry, I don't care about my life. My life is forfeit, but no, you're not destroying my children. No, not going to happen. So
God, just give me chills.
Yeah, that's just this life, and as we're here to protect our children.
Yeah,
that's why see children being hurt in these wars and stuff, and the innocence, it just hurts me when I see that. Because children don't belong in harm's way in any capacity. I don't care about this or that. The children belong to be safe.
Yeah,
they need to be safe. They need to be fed. They need to be taken care of. For the people that do what they do. You have a problem with so why don't you go fight him? Go do your over there. Leave the innocents alone. I'm not choosing sides on anybody, but I am choosing sides on the innocents, and that's the children, and that's the women. That's the innocent men that don't belong in these situations. For me, I've always been advocate for the innocents and not, this person's right or this country's. I don't care about that. Yeah. Just because you're right and you're right, does that mean that people that are innocent got to lose their lives?
Yeah.
No, I disagree with that 100%. And nobody should have the right to take somebody's life away because of one reason, one political reason or another political reason. It's like God didn't bring us to do that. It did not. He did not. He didn't give us that heart and that brain to think, okay, we can sacrifice these kids or that family or this family because it's for the greater good. What's for the greater good? There's never no greater. Human life is the greater good. God helped us to understand that and to help each other, not to say, oh, he's not deserving. Who's not deserving? Every person is deserving, especially children.
I'm so with you. Oh, I think a lot of people agree with you. I mean, there's a whole army of people that back up Cain and want to see him free, and I mean, argument back and forth about putting other people's lives in danger. I mean, I think I mean, yeah, I can see that, but at the same time, it's like he should have been time served. I mean, he's been through enough, and we just want him back. It sounds like he's not going to be gone for too long, but one day is too long.
The good thing is he had a great judge. He had a great judge on his side. And what I was told from my brothers that were there, they said that judge was almost in tears when he handed down the sentence. He didn't want to do it. And the thing of it is that judge, 4 more days and he was going to be retired. So he made sure that Cain was on his Can you imagine if that judge would not have been there? Can you imagine? Cain got he got the least amount possible under the circumstances. If that judge would not have been there, that prosecutor that wanted 30 years, you don't know. You do not know what could have happened. They could have easily gave him 30 years. Easily.
Yeah.
It didn't happen because of that judge that was there. And that judge was a family man, and he understood. He understood. He had a heart. And a lot of these people, they want the notch on their belt, right? The notch on their belt. That's the prosecutor wanted the notch on his belt. We put the bad guy away. What bad guy? You didn't put any bad guy away.
Yeah, I know the bad guy.
You put a loving father away that actually needed counseling. It's like, like with all these people, the alcoholic individual that needs to go to rehab, alcoholic rehab, and then you got the drug addict that needs to rehab. I'm not saying Cain is any of those, but he had a part of his brain that wasn't able to control.
Yeah.
But in a way, I wish he could have controlled it, because then we got rid of one individual, because Cain would have done it right, and he would have got rid of him the right way.
Yeah. Because his hands would have been enough. He didn't need to.
He 100%. He would have had this guy look at him while he destroyed this guy. 100%. There's not many people in the world that Cain couldn't do that to.
No.
There's not many people in the world he couldn't do that to. So
that guy's lucky.
He is lucky, to be honest.
Because that would have been not good for him.
No.
Can I tell you something that's kind of funny? I mean, it's a little bit of a comic relief in this whole situation. So I made a post with you and Cain, and I don't know why my mind skipped me, and I totally forgot that Cain was not, here. But I collaborated with you two on my post, and I'm just like, why is Cain why is he not accepting my collaboration? Why is he not? I was like, come on, Cain. I'm texting him, come on, Cain. Why aren't you accepting my collaboration? And then I was like, oh my gosh, Wendy, you're such an idiot. And I mean, I got bummed out, and all of a sudden I was thinking, gosh, that's so not fair, and then I just started thinking about it. And I mean, I'm such a tiny little speck in his world. He has a lot of people that feel that way. It's like, you don't realize that, you kind of count on someone for something. Like I said, I'm just this tiny speck, but for him, he has a lot of people like that in his world. And sometimes you don't even notice it until you call on it.
I was told from reliable sources that he is being treated fantastic by the guards.
Good.
And he's being treated fantastic by the prisoners.
Oh, good.
So and I knew that was going to happen. They all respect him. They all respect what he did. And see, the one thing about him is like when Mike Tyson went to prison, okay, he was the baddest man on the planet type mentality. And I don't think Tyson had a problem either. And, Cain Velasquez, especially the reason why he's there.
Yeah.
He's
they respect him.
He's a hero. He's a hero to the inmates. He's a hero to the prison guards. Because when he first originally got it, I had so many police officers come up to me, and they said, "Man, I'm so sorry. I understand. I don't know what I would have done. I might have done the same thing. They were behind Cain." All the police officers that I met, there wasn't one that I knew or didn't know that didn't come up to me and say that. And I'm not saying all of them were for what he did, because I'm sure some weren't. But I'm just saying there was a lot that came up to me and said that we're behind him. So it's the system that let us down, not the people that work the system.
Man.
And well, I shouldn't say not the people, because there's the head prosecutor that went after him, and he's a piece of shit. and I'll say that because he's a piece of shit. You know, I mean, you're worried about conviction and this and that. You're not worried about doing the right thing by a family, you know, and then the people that put you in your stupid position, you know. And if we know you're that kind of individual, I mean, I don't know too many parents that would want someone like that to be in that position that you know looks at it like that. It's like, no, you don't have a heart either, you know. So when the alleged child molester has more rights than you, it's ridiculous.
Well, the court of public opinion is very real, and no one has mercy on that guy. So may the I was gonna say may the devil be with him, because
the devil was with him.
Right, I know. May no one be with him. May no one be with him, because
let's
that
keep
is
him with the devil. Let's keep him with the devil.
keep him with where he belongs, exactly.
With the
Man,
devil can keep him.
Well, we love Cain. I feel so blessed to have had the opportunity to get to know him a little bit before before all this happened. In the short period of time that I had a chance to get to know him, I just respect the hell out of him. I think he's such a great guy, and he's just so respectful, and he's so kind. It's just crazy. He's the kind of person that we need more of, people like him. The way that he operates, the way that he, you know, cares for his family, the way that he just is such a stand-up guy. And I mean, it is such a blessing to have got to know him, and we'll continue to get to know him because he's not going to be out. He's not going to be in there very long. So
he's probably going to be out early next year, because you can also sign up for programs, and it takes weeks off of you, 1 or 2 weeks off. So, and I think you can sign up to mentor. I don't know how many things you can do, but I think you can get off maybe an extra 2 months earlier than March. So so knowing him, he should be signing up for these programs to lead, you know, people there.
Well, that's a piece
just
of cake.
Good charity work, you know.
That's like right up his alley anyway. I mean, he'd probably do it he'd probably do it even if he wasn't having to do it, knowing him.
Yeah, he would do it just to help, because like I mentioned, you know, he's probably in there. I mentioned somebody else. He's probably doing good. He's helping the prisoners become better people anyway. So that's who he is. That's who he is, you know. And I think that he can probably even bridge some of the racial tensions in there, because he's not against any race. He's just true to everybody. He's true to his Mexican heritage. He's true to anybody. He's like DC. Like DC said, he gave him everything, you know. And DC and him aren't from the same blood. They're not the same, you know, religion. They're not anything. But what they are is the same in heart.
I keep tearing up with these conversations, like between DC and then you, and I feel like we could talk forever. So I definitely have to bring you back. We've had Cain, we've had DC, we've got to get Luke on next.
Luke?
Yeah.
He's great. He's great. He's awesome.
Well, we're gonna get him on here because I just want to personally thank you so much for bringing these amazing athletes to my platform and just helping me and helping everyone to connect more with them and with you. It's been amazing, and you're sticking around. We have more to talk about. I want to keep involved with the UFC, the MMA world. You're my golden goose. You're my source of all things MMA. So lucky you. Not. Do you have anything that you want to say to your fans and your followers and everybody who loves you so much before we have to go?
No. Just keep tuning into the Windy show. You know, she has a great.
Thank you.
You're I want very intelligent.
Well,
you're well put. Everything you put. If people understand athletes and they understand mentality, what athletes go through, then your words will ring true for them. If they don't fully understand it, then they need to kind of look into your words, because they are truth. It's not for fighting. It's for athletes, and an athlete is a fighter.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Coach Javier. I appreciate it. And for everybody out there, I want you to know that WOLFpak is the official bag of the UFC. So go check us out on wolfpak.com, spelled with a K. And until next time, we'll definitely have Javier back, and I will see you all on the flip side.